Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and today I'm taking you to the Great League Remix Cup. This is the Great League 1500 Combat Power format, but with 20 of the most used Pokemon banned. However, there's a few Pokemon that are known to be kind of toxic fast move pressure mons, like Carbink and Wigglytuff, that escaped bans. So today, I'm going hunting for them with Mudslap Shadow Nidoqueen. Now, Nidoqueen doesn't really see much of any play in the open leagues, but with a lower power level, considering a lot of stuff was banned, I figured now may be the time to try it out. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and in game number 1, we pick up a bit of an interesting lead. Shadow Nidoqueen into Dragonair. Dragonair is going to have incredibly fast pacing, being able to spam out Aqua Tails every 9 turns. But what Nidoqueen doesn't have in pacing, it has in debuffs. I'm going to immediately fire off the Poison Fang, and now this should give me the ability, if I want to dictate Switch Advantage. And Switch Advantage honestly sounds pretty nice. In the back, I have 2 Pokemon in Dugong and Florges that cover each other's weaknesses pretty well. Opponent is going to send out their own Dugong. I don't want to stay in with the Nidoqueen, so I pivot, and out comes Florges. Trailblaze is going to land. Opponent throws on Alignment, which is a bit of a surprise. My opponent clearly wants Florges with as little residual energy as possible, and now we see why. They have a Carbink in the back. So for Nidoqueen, our target has been acquired. Carbink is going to have an absolutely miserable time dealing with the Florges. Florges will apply debuff after debuff after debuff. Another Chilling Water is going to land. They still cannot farm down. They're forced to throw energy. And now I can bring back in the Nidoqueen. Power Gem picks up the knockout. In comes Nidoqueen. There's going to be the switch into Dugong. And Dugong will immediately be debuffed with Poison Fang. Poison Fang will get the shield. I bank a Poison Fang for later and bring in my own Dugong. And at this point, this is game over. My opponent has no way out. Drill Run will not do enough damage. I can just farm up to the back-to-back Drill Runs, and that's a good game. Hopping into the next match, picking up a really nice lead, leading Shadow Nidoqueen into Fortress. This is a Bug Bite Fortress. If it's Volt Switch, obviously it's going to be even better, but even the Bug Bite variant, Nidoqueen does quite nicely. A core that I was noticing a lot was Fortress plus Drapion, which is a pretty strong pairing when Mudslappers don't exist. However, I have a Mudslapper. Most of the Mudslappers are banned out of this meta, but I am running one of them. And honestly, it worked out very, very well today. A lot of teams felt like they were unprepared for Nidoqueen. Granted, there were some teams where Nidoqueen had a bit of a tough time, but there were a lot of games where Nidoqueen was able to almost 1v2. After taking the initial knockout in the lead matchup, my opponent sent out Goodra, so I pivot into the Dugong because I do have 2 better responses in the back, and I'd like to save the Nidoqueen as I'm expecting it will be good into what they have. My opponent goes for the Charge Attack priority type, and I'm just going to let this go. It turns out they just had enough for an Aqua Tail, so they were 1 Dragon Breath short of the Thunder Punch. Icy Wind lands, taking the knockout. In the back is Diggersby, and it turns out I didn't need to save Nidoqueen, but Florges will be able to secure the win. Oh, we get a dream lead in the next match. Nidoqueen into Charjabug. Charjabug is going to stay into Throw a Volt Switch, Safe Switch into Dugong, and I respond with the Florges. Here, I do end up throwing on Alignment. I was anticipating my opponent to throw the Icy Wind instantly, but giving them a free Ice Shard is definitely not ideal. Unfortunately, I've just set up the exact same scenario where we're going to reach the next Charge Attack at the exact same time. I anticipate them to cap tie, and they do not cap tie once again. Man, I am getting all the reads wrong in this one. But the good news is even though I've given up 2 free Ice Shards, the Florges Dugong matchup is a very strong one for Florges. Here, I will go for the Chilling Water. This way, if they shield, it lowers the amount of Ice Shard damage they're doing to me. They no shield, and they will get knocked out. It's going to be a Shadow Drapion in the back, and it's another team that is core broken by Nidoqueen. Aqua Tail will do big damage, but the thing that's going to win this for me is the fact that Charjabug has absolutely no fast move pressure. So even though I'm deep into the red HP, watch this. Charjabug is going to get brought back in, and look how many Volt Switches it's going to take to farm me down. Poison Fang number 1 is going to be no shielded. Nice bait call from my opponent, but I can just spam out another Poison Fang and get the shield. Charjabug hoping for a farm down, but it's not going to happen. Shadow Nidoqueen so oppressive. Poison Fang takes the knockout. 1 Mudslap knocks out the Drapion, and we're able to take the win. Oh, what a great lead in the next match. Nidoqueen into Shadow Typhlosion. Opponent safe switches into Florges, and honestly I don't have an amazing response to a Florges safe switch, so I plan to just stay in this matchup for now, and then look to fire off the Poison Fang. I'm at -1, but a Shadow Poison Fang will do a ton of damage. My goal is to exit with some residual energy on that Nidoqueen and then send in the Florges. With Florges, I actually want to take the knockout with a Trailblaze rather than taking the knockout with the Chilling Water. The reason being is that's going to be boosting my attack back up to normal so that when Typhlosion comes in, Typhlosion is actually going to be threatened by Florges' Chilling Water. They bring back in the Typhlosion, and now I'm back to normal on my attack, and that means Chilling Water will hit for devastating damage. If my opponent didn't throw here, I was going to try and snipe with a Mud Slap, but they will just take the knockout. I bring in Dugong. Oh man, it's Torterra in the back, and my opponent will resign the match. We get the dream lead in the next match. Shadow Nidoqueen into Carbink. Opponent safe switches Machamp, which is also walled by the Nidoqueen. But luckily, I don't have to stay in because I have Florges in the back, and Florges is going to make quick work of Machamp. I decided to go for the Trailblaze because I want to exit this matchup boosted rather than debuff them with the Chilling Water. So now I have a +1 Florges. They can bring back in the Carbink if they want. Carbink will be able to get a full farm down, but Carbink's going to exit the matchup debuffed, and it's not like Carbink's energy goes anywhere against the Nidoqueen. So I'm able to land the Chilling Water. Can I make one final move? No, I cannot. Back in comes the Nidoqueen. In the back is Shadow Torterra. And there's nothing better than seeing Torterra just get absolutely destroyed by a Dugong. Shield comes up. I'm going to get the full farm down. Bring back in that Carbink. Oh, they're not going to. They're just going to immediately concede the match. Great lead in the next match. Shadow Nidoqueen into Magcargo. Magcargo stays in to check the fast move. Safe switches into Jumpluff. And Jumpluff is a Pokemon that this team is actually ABA weak to, as Nidoqueen would not have a good Jumpluff matchup due to the fact that it's running Mud Slap, and Florges is completely walled because I'm not running Moonblast. So a bit of good luck going my way that I'm encountering this Pokemon on the safe switch. But with a Magcargo lead, this entire team can hit Magcargo for, at minimum, super effective damage. That is quite nice, as that means that I don't need to play for switch advantage. So my opponent is going to be double shielding for switch. They get to save their Magcargo from the Mud Slapper just for Florges to be the reveal. Florges going to be hit with a -2 acrobatics. If they make it to another move, I will actually decide to shield, but they do not. And now they get to bring back in Magcargo just to get absolutely one-shot by Chilling Water. Chilling Water is going to land. Down goes Magcargo. In the back is Malamar. Malamar is a Pokemon that this team would be a bit weak to. I throw the Chilling Water, and they're going to concede the match. Great lead in the next match. Nidoqueen into Wigglytuff, and the Wigglytuff is staying in. If they're staying in this matchup, then there's something in the back that Nidoqueen will do very well into. So Nidoqueen gets to fire off the Poison Fang, grabbing a shield from the opponent, and I will put the shield back because I don't want the Icy Wind to land. These Mud Slaps continue to chip away at the Wigglytuff, and I get to go for Poison Fang number 2. Poison Fang is going to be double shielded, so my opponent really trying to get rid of this Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen will put up the shield. It is going to be the Icy Wind. They're going to pivot now, sending in Clodsire. I'm in -2 attack, so I send in the Dugong. I have a ton of energy stored on the Nidoqueen as well, which is very nice. Clodsire, interestingly enough, is not running Stone Edge. Usually a safe switch Clodsire has Stone Edge, so that way if there is a Dugong, it can hit it for super effective damage, but it appears they do not, and that works out pretty nicely for me. I feel that I'm in a really nice spot. Basically, no matter what they bring in after I take the knockout, I'm just going to bring in the Nidoqueen, and the Nidoqueen will be able to spam out Poison Fang debuffs. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to click on Nidoqueen as soon as they bring in their third, but the third is a Gligar, and that is not what I was expecting at all. And switch locking the Nidoqueen may have just cost me this game. Oh, this is why we don't make plans before seeing what the third is. I was thinking there's no way it would be something that walls all my energy, but it's a Gligar. Oh, that's so bad. In comes the Dugong. We simultaneously KO. They bring in the Wigglytuff, and I lose the game because they're going to get to double dig. This was the easiest game. It was not the team's fault I lost it. This was entirely operator error. I was not expecting the Gligar in the back, and unfortunately, switching into the Nidoqueen seals my fate. Well, the good news is we get a good lead in the next match. We're looking for a bit of redemption. Opponent safe switches into Guzzlord, and Guzzlord will immediately fire off the Brutal Swing. In hindsight, maybe I should have tried to catch the Brutal Swing onto the Florges, but either way, my goal here is just to get massive Florges farm. If I get the shield call right on the Sludge Bomb, then I can fully farm down. If they bait, then I will have to throw. And they do full send, which is really nice, as now my Florges is going to exit with a massive amount of energy. I'm going to be pretty close to full HP as well. And this Fortress is not going to have a great day. It's actually a Volt Switch Fortress too. So I should have thrown one in the move, but I was already pretty close to 100 energy and I was expecting Bug Bite. So I wanted to get the damage off as soon as possible. Chilling Water is going to land. They are now double debuffed. You know what? Let's make that triple debuffed. One thing that's fun about this team is the entire team has the ability to debuff opponents. So you're constantly able to either lower their defense or lower their attack, or sometimes both. Here, they do not take the knockout because they're at -3 attack. I get to go for another Chilling Water. They're going to shield, and it's a simultaneous switch. Nidoqueen into the Dugong. Nidoqueen immediately going to bait with the Poison Fang. Dugong puts up the shield. Dugong does not get the farm down before I'm able to make one final Poison Fang. I was hoping for the Earth Power, but I fell just short. But look at the damage that Dugong has taken, and now I get to bring in my own Dugong. All the Dugong energy in the world is going absolutely nowhere into my own Dugong. They can fire off the back-to-back drill runs, but it simply will not be enough. Drill run number 2 is going to connect. There's the combo play with the Fortress. Now this is what I was saving my shield for, because Fortress is obviously going to do way more damage than Dugong. I am debuffed, but after throwing 2 Ice Shards, I take the Icy Wind. The second Volt Switch will not register, and then I should be able to take the win with the Drill Run. Drill Run is going to land. They actually survive it on 1 HP, so I snipe down with the Fairy Wind and take the win. Shadow Nidoqueen into Dugong in the next match. This is a bad lead. Typically with this lead matchup, I found that Nidoqueen energy is often good in the back, so I like to bank a Poison Fang and then switch. Out comes Dugong, and that's going to be answered with Shadow Dusknoir. Shadow Dusknoir is an unfortunate Pokemon for Dugong to encounter, as Dusknoir has amazing fast move pressure and will win charge attack priority. If you catch it on the lead with Nidoqueen, Nidoqueen's Mud Slaps are able to keep pace with the Astonishes, which is quite nice. So I did end up beating a Dusknoir on the lead, but a Dusknoir answering the Dugong save switch is going to make life very, very tricky. I am going to be putting up the shield because I want to try and preserve my Dugong. If I can keep the Dugong around, I do have hope in this game. I make the Drill Run, which is quite nice. Drill Run, it's not going to do a massive amount of damage, but I just need to get whatever damage that I can, and unfortunately, it's Shadow Feraligatr in the back. I stay in hoping they would overfarm and let me make the Icy Wind, but they just throw instantly. And unfortunately, with the Dugong out of the way, this team is soft to Feraligatr energy. Obviously, if I have a Nidoqueen and 2 shields, then I can just farm it down. But unfortunately, I do not. So I bring in the Florges. Florges is going to be hit with a Hydro Cannon. That's going to do monster damage. And now the question is this: can I make it to the Trailblaze? I'm 2 off, so I'll just have to survive the Ice Shard here. But unfortunately, my opponent, they're a great player. They know exactly where my energy's at. They take the knockout, and they have the back-to-back loaded, so Nidoqueen will get knocked out as well. A tricky team comp there. They had a lot of good answers for Nidoqueen, and my opponent had amazing energy management. Moving to the next match, leading Shadow Nidoqueen into Shadow Dusknoir. I'm going to look to throw this Poison Fang right when they make it to the back-to-back Shadow Punches. Poison Fang, even though it's resisted, this is a Shadow on Shadow matchup. So at this health range, Dusknoir will not be able to hang on and survive the Poison Fang. So they're forced to burn a shield. This works out pretty nicely for me, as a lot of Dusknoir teams are built around trying to win the lead, and Nidoqueen is not about to let that happen. Out comes a Wigglytuff. Oh my goodness, let's go Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen is going to get so much damage into that Wigglytuff, and now I just bring in the Dugong. Bringing in the Dugong will force them to go for Swift over Icy Wind, and Swift will never do a lot of damage. So now I do get to exit with a decent amount of energy on the Dugong, and I'm still quite healthy. In the back is going to be Carbink, and let's immediately debuff the Carbink with the Icy Wind. Icy Wind, it's not going to do much, but debuffing them should hopefully make this endgame a little bit easier. Now I do get to the Drill Run. Drill Run, if it lands, is going to put them into the yellow, and the reveal, it's Florges in the back. They switch in the Dusknoir to reset the Icy Wind debuff, but by throwing the Icy Wind earlier, that's now just fed free energy to the Florges, as Florges will get to go for the Chilling Water. At this point, there's just no way out for the Carbink. Carbink is going to no-shield the Chilling Water, but that just means that now I get to go for the Trailblaze. Trailblaze will ramp up my attack stat. Fairy Wind is never going to do much damage in this matchup, so it'll take whatever boosts I can get. Now, they will make one final Rock Slide to take the knockout, but one Ice Shard from Dugong will deliver the win. Hopping into the final match, oh, another nice lead, Nidoqueen into Fortress. Opponent safe switches into Lapras, and I respond with the Florges. My counter swap was not the fastest in this matchup. I saw the Ice Water, and honestly my first thought was Dugong, as I've been seeing more Dugong than Lapras. I will go for the Trailblaze. Trailblaze just does not knock out here, but my opponent puts up a shield, which to me is a pretty massive misplay, as now future Trailblazes are going to be doing way more damage. So I'm more than happy to shield back. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to Psywave me down, and now I get to go for a +1 Trailblaze. The +1 Trailblaze is going to land. Lapras is barely able to hang on, but switch advantage does seem important. I cannot have a Fortress absolutely destroying my poor Dugong. They're going to bring in the Fortress. I decide that I am going to throw the Chilling Water just to get a little bit of damage, and then I bring in the Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen, maybe I could have thrown a Poison Fang early on and farmed down, but I didn't. So I will have to go for the Earth Power, so a bit of a misplay by me in the mid game, but I still have a Nidoqueen with residual energy, and I won't find out what they had in the back, as they will concede the match before they reveal their final Pokemon. All in all, I had some really fun sets today with the Shadow Nidoqueen. Ended up going decently positive. Now, is Shadow Nidoqueen an absolute meta breaker? I don't know. I mainly, after running a few sets, was just really tired of Wigglytuff and Carbink, so I wanted to run a Pokemon that would just absolutely crush those two, and Nidoqueen fit the bill. Clodsire is also allowed in this meta, but after I was seeing a lot of Dusknoir, I wanted something that had offensive pressure into the Dusknoir as well, and that's where the idea behind the Mudslap Shadow Nidoqueen came in. So if you see a lot of teams that are built around Carbink and Wigglytuff, then the Mudslap Shadow Nidoqueen could be a fun Pokemon to add to the Remix Cup team. Again, this isn't like a top Metamon, this is an anti-Metamon. We're trying to fight back against the fairy types now that a lot of the top steel types that usually check them, like the Shadow Scizor, have been banned. But overall, it was a very fun team to use. I ended up going quite positive with it. I really felt like a lot of my losses today were misplays. I felt like the team put me in a good position in most games, and there was just a lot of times that I just didn't end up executing well enough. I would say awkward leads for the team would be a Golisopod or just basically any bug water type. If you see an Araquanid, would be very awkward if it's not aligned onto the Florges. But outside of that, I feel like there's not really a lot of ABA weaknesses that this team has other than maybe a Psywave user. Although, even if you do see a Lapras, I feel like that would still be pretty manageable. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.